Can you guys confirm, please, if you can see my VS Code in screen, everyone? VS Code in browser visible? Okay. So let's do a quick recap of whatever we learned in objects, right? So why is this in here? Let me put it in zip. So in objects, let's do revision here only. Okay, so what all did we learn? We learned about creating object, right? Updating object, deleting object, and accessing objects, right? All right. So help me how, what's the syntax for creating an object, everyone? Let's say I want to create a let obj object. How can I do that? So all I have to do is I have to write the name, and this is the syntax, everyone. And now inside this, we'll be putting key and value, value pairs, right? 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 Chicken. What was the purpose? Why do we needed a whole new data structure, or rather data type object, when we had arrays and all? Correct? Correct. To explain features about something, right? So that we can store larger but more precise data. And we can make this data down to a single person, whatever we want to store around them, anything. Right? Chicken. So what kind of data type can be put inside this thing? So let's say if I'm trying to store first name, and I'm storing a string. So would I be not able to store a number in this object? I can store anything, right? So let's say I'm trying to store mobile number. Can I store this? I can, right? I can. All right. All right. Let's say I want to store a key that is called hobbies, and in that I have to store an array. Can I do that? Any data type goes. Okay. Now in this array, let's say I'm putting and reading and all. So why am I getting an error? Any guess? Any ideas? Okay. Okay. Let me fix this. Anything else? Still correct? Correct. Am I missing a comma in here? Comma. Whenever we want to create a new key value pairs, we have to put a comma. Everyone. Okay. All right. Can I store object inside object too? Can I do that? Yes. Yes. So let's say I have a object matches 1, and inside this I have a few more things. Let's say I have a number of matches, right? So in this I am storing 12, and then locations, which can be array. So let's say monthly, and what else? Eden. Okay. So I have this object and I have to store it in this object. How can I do that? Basically, I have to create a new key, and inside that key, I have to store this new object. So basically, I'm asking you guys to create a key value pair in this object. How can I do that? Achha, I'll do it, and you guys tell me if I'm correct or not. If I do dot matches 1 equals to matches 1, will I be creating a key with this name, and I'll be giving the value as this thing? Yes. Shall we try it? Shall we try it? So let me just visit this thing. So it's capn, and we are in objects. All right. And we have to basically console.log object. All right. Let me do a quick node index on it. Not index. Check. And we are getting a rather error. Let's see what's that error is. So it's basically object has already been declared. So I might have missed commenting things out. Let me quickly comment everything. Take it. Chalo. All right. Okay. Where were we? This thing. Let me quickly do a clear on it, and let's run it. Okay. So what are we getting? We are getting the key with matches one and the value which we have stored in that variable? Everyone? Everyone? So it's clear ki how we can add something inside that object, right? So is this a case of nested object, people? Nested object, right? Now, the new object is this one. So take this as a reference. Let's say I have to access the number of matches. How can I print just the number of matches, just the 12? And try doing this in square notation, right? Remember, we had two types of notations, everyone, right? We have dot and square. I hope you guys remember it. मैच 12 वैल्यू का नाम लिखते हैं राहुल की का नाम लिखते हैं? करेक्ट correct. So most of you guys are absolutely correct. All we have to do is we have to access that object. Now we know that this object is this. So all I have to do is I have to first access the outer key, which is this. So let me write that key. I'll go and I'll write matches one and then the key inside that, right? So for now, I'll be accessing this thing. And inside that, we have one more thing, that is number of matches. Yes, should we be printing 12 now, guys? 12, 12, right? I'll do a node object on it and I'll be getting. Okay, same thing I can do for dot notation also, and it's rather much more easier. So that we are gonna go with dot notation mostly, except for one place where only square notation should have been used. कौन सी जगह है वो? If you guys remember, I'll give you correct loops, right? That dynamic key accessing, correct. Okay, so let's quickly do it in this way. So matches one dot number of matches. Again, am I gonna get exactly same result? Everyone, exactly same result. Okay, so I'll be printing that. So let me quickly do that so that you guys know we are getting it. Okay. Now let's say I have to access this array. All I have to do is I have to just remove this and I'll have to do locations, right? Now I'll be just accessing that array. Okay. Now, given that we're accessing this array, how can I access the second element in it, this Eden? Asha, keep this in mind. Once we have written this, no, now we are referring to an array. Okay. And does dot notation works in array? Can I write something like this? Array dot index. ऐसा कुछ लिख सकता हूँ मैं. I have to do this thing for that array. Everyone, remember? Okay. So yeah. So all we have to do is locations and we have to write one. This should be able to give us exactly what we want. Okay. I'm getting Eden. Clear? Clear? Can we update these things, guys? Can we update an object? Can we update an object? So let's say in place of location, I want some other array, right? So let me make some space here. इसको थोड़ा छोटा करते हैं and okay, that's fine. Let's say I have a new array which has a new data, right? So stadium, never mind. I'll just name it stadium 1 and I'll name it stadium 2. Check, sure. And we already know what this is. So let me clear the space here. Check it. Sure. So now I have to update locations, right, with this array. Correct. Can I do this, guys? Can I do this? Object dot matches one dot locations equals to an array. Will this update the older location? Everyone, right? So now that we're printing locations, should we be printing this with it? Let's see. If I do a node object in it, we are printing the new locations. Clear, guys? Clear? And if you guys remember, how can we delete a certain, let me print this entire object. Okay, you can see the perspective, entire perspective. Let me console this and I'll do a console of log object. Let me quickly show you guys the object that we have currently. So let me make it a bit थोड़ा बड़ा करने दो. ठीक. So we have this object. Let's say I have to delete the name. Can I do that? Can I delete a key value pair in an object? Yes. How? Exactly. All we have to do is we have to write a delete statement, space, and whatever key we want to delete, right? We have to delete object dot first name. Now this should be deleting that specific thing. So we don't have name in this object anymore. Clear hai? Everyone? Object, nested object, any doubts till then? No? All right. So you guys remember we did a frequency problem. Remember? ठीक है, उस पे आते हैं, but can you quickly one of you share the contest link? Or wait, I'll pick it up. This is the contest, right? Everyone, right? Now let's say I have this problem which says we have been given a number stored in a variable with the name n. We have to print first n English smaller case alphabets mapped with the value starting from 1 to n, including the value stored in n, right? काफी कुछ है क्वेश्चन में. Let's break it down step by step. What basically this question in this line wants us to do is, let's say we have a, so it should be mapped with 1, b, so it should be mapped with 2, till z, which should be mapped with 26, right? कितने अल्फाबेट्स होते हैं? 26 या 27 कि 20 26, right? So z on 26, something like that. So first step is that. Then we'll talk about second step. तो first step कैसे किया आप लोगों ने? Everyone, first step, how can we map a with 1, b with 2, c with 3? नहीं पूरा कोड लिखने की जरूरत नहीं. You can just describe it in 1 or 2 lines. That's fine. कि you used a loop for it or something and something. That's fine. Look, did you use object at all? Yes. All right. Let's see how we can do it using object. So for that, first let's create a. Let me make it smaller. Still visible, right? Let me create a string for alphabet, right? So let's create a string and let's name it A, B, C, D, E, F, J, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Tick. So we have this alphabet. Now what we have to do is basically we'll have to create an object with let me show you, with the key value pairs in this sense, right? So B should be at 2, C should be at 3, T should be at 4, and this goes till Z. Can we do this? Everyone, can we do this? Creating an object in this sense. जिसमें keys will be your alphabets, this thing, and the value will be the number. ठीक है, तो everyone, I'm not asking you to solve the question. I'm just asking you to get this thing. Try it. I'll give you guys 3 to 4 minutes. Try it, everyone. Try to print an object which has this thing. So A to Z, and it should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And don't write this entire object. Dynamic banao. Make it dynamic. Again, अगर ट्राई करना स्टार्ट करते हो तो प्लीज राइट 1 in chat so that I'll know कि हाँ लिखना चालू किया है, or I'll know कि you guys are not responding. All right. Say once again the problem. You have to achieve this layout. You have to create a object with this structure. The key should be your alphabet and the value should be 1, 2, 3. Use this string for that. Use a loop and create an entire object. Key in object, but object is empty. Object is empty. Object is empty. I'm not asking you guys to print this. I'm basically asking you to go for this structure. Okay. I and I plus 1. Correct. Correct. Makes sense. And you're printing too. Great. Yes, that's correct. I checked already. Okay, guys. Shall we do it together? साथ में करें? Length. ठीक है. Correct. Correct. ठीक है. So let's try to do this. First, we have an empty array and we have an alphabet string. Now, what we'll do is basically we'll run a loop on this string, right? We'll start with I equals to 0. I is less than alphabet dot length and I plus plus. And inside this, what I can do is I can let m equals to not object alphabet time. Right, alphabet time. Okay. Quickly, guys, clear one doubt for me. Let's say I have an object, right, which is empty, and I'm trying to do this. Object A equals to 1. What am I gonna do? Will I be updating or will I be putting a new key value pair in this object? Everyone? Everyone? Are you guys still trying? अगर कर रहे हो तो I'm doing it so we guys can do it together. We'll be creating a new key value pair inside this object, right? It would look something like this, correct? If I'm not wrong, yes, everyone, right? So exactly same thing is going to happen in this loop. What I'll do is I'm getting the alphabet I, right? So it's gonna be your A, B, C, D, E, F, right? It's gonna be till Z, right? So what I'll do is I'll pick object, I'll write M and I'll write I plus 1. Basically, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? In each iteration, I'm putting object A and I plus 1 is 0 for now in first iteration, so it will be 1, right? Then in next iteration, what I'm doing, I'm putting B and this will be I plus 1, which will be 1 by then, and I'm putting 2. So flow, getting everyone? Everyone? So actually that only. So this will be in string for bracket notation. ठीक भावना समझो यार. ठीक what I'm trying to do. ठीक है, that was a bit error, but ठीक. Clear? I can do that. Everyone, समझ आ रहा है? Yes, it's getting updated on each iteration. So if I go and if I try to print this object, I should be getting what we were desiring, not this, but the object with all that data, right? A1, B2, C3 till Z26. Everyone, am I getting that? Right? Code, how many of you are not getting the code? So let me quickly reiterate it once again. So we had a string alphabet and we created an empty object, right? We ran a loop on this alphabet string, and inside this, as we know, let's say we have to create a new key value pairs inside an empty object. Can I do this? Can I do this? Right? If I do this, will I be adding this key value pair? Everyone? Everyone? Right? इसी तरीके से we used to create new key value pair in object. अभी revise किया हमने. Itna clear everyone? If I do this, I will be getting this. I can't see enough responses. Guys, come on, 59 yes. If yes, you're getting it, please tell me. Okay? Now, once we know that this happens, in let m, what am I gonna get? I'm doing alphabet I. So I'll be getting each and every element of this string. String का हर एक element मिलेगा. What is that? Is that a string only? वो भी एक string ही है, right? So if I break down the steps a few more bits, so this let m will be equals to this in very first iteration. Yes. And if I try to write this, it will be written in this manner. I have broken down the code bit more. Clear? अभी clear है what's happening? ये एप्स में इक्वल नहीं तो फिर रिट्रेट हो रहा है. Word on that object. Word means full word. Okay, wait. Just give me a second. Let's say I have this object, right? If I'm doing object A equals to 1, object B equals to 2, object C equals to 3, and after that if I do a console.log object, everyone, what am I gonna get? सब बताओ. Everyone, please tell me, what am I gonna get in object if I'm trying to print this? Right, I'm gonna get A1, B2 and C3, this thing, right? So all I'm doing is I'm trying to make this stuff dynamic for each and every character. I don't have to write each and everything. How did I do that? What I did is I basically ran a for loop, right? To let I equals to 0, I is less than alphabet dot length, and I did a I plus plus, right? Let's say I create a variable m equals to alpha bet I, and if I do a console.log of m, what am I gonna print? Am I gonna print each and every letter one by one? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H till Z, right? Let me show you. Let me comment this out and let me show you what we are gonna print. Itna clear hai? It's basic string iteration, that's all, nothing else. Right? And is this thing a string? Is this thing a string? So if I do a type of it, is it a string? Right? Right? So abhi output mein it's looking like this, but technically is it like this only? A and B and C. Everyone? Everyone, सबको समझ आ रहा है इतना part? Just till here. ठीक? And if I write obj, which is an empty object, and if I write a equals to 1, am I not doing this thing? I'm just writing that exactly thing. तो इसको बस I made it dynamic by replacing this with the variable m, which is nothing but alphabet I. So in each iteration, it's gonna be A, B till Z. Itna clear everyone? Is this part clear? Sabko? Right? So for now, if I run this loop and if I try to print this object after this, I should be getting A till Z with the value of 1. 1 की value आएगी. Everyone, right? Let me show you. If I do this, am I printing the object? I'm printing the object with the value m. अच्छा, I'm printing each and every iteration, तो उसके सबसे नीचे होगा. All right, never mind. I'll just comment this out. ठीक है? So are we getting the object a till z with one only? One only. Clear था उतना part? Right? Now all we have to do is we have to make it dynamic so that it also changes. Aside from alphabet I, what is dynamic in this loop? Is it I? If I do a console.log I rather than m के बजाय if I do I, if I comment everything out, will it be starting from 0 ending at 25? 1 if yes, 0 if no. Right? So if I run it, ये start होगा 0 से and it will end at 25. Why? Because we have given it alphabet.length. All we have to do is we have to make it as I plus 1. So that basically every time it's starting at 1 move. Okay? Right? So now what we're going to do is if we run the code, again, I'm not printing the object. Let me print the object. Let me comment this one out. If I run it, I'm getting this. Abhi clear है सबको? Anyone here with any doubts, please let me know, because we are going to use this exact same structure in like most of the lecture in today. Clear hai? Any doubts, please everyone take a minute if you want to sink this in, think about it and let me know if you have any doubts, then we'll move forward. इतना हजम करो पहले फिर we'll move forward. No doubts? ठीक है तो let's move forward then. चलो, so we have done this. Now we have this entire object. All we have to do is you have to print the first n English mapped with value starting from 1 to n, including the value stored in n. So basically now we don't have to go for a to z, we have to just go till whatever number is given, right? So let's say 5 is given, तो हमें 1 से लेके 5 तक ही जाना है. So it will be a1 b2 c3 d4 and e5. Quickly tell me if I write 6 in here, will I be going like this? a1 b2 c3 d4 e5 and f6. Yes. So now all we have to do is we have to use the n constraint, right? So basically जो n का number है, we have to make it so that it only stops till n. How can we do that? Anything in here that we can change which will stop this alphabet at 5 only? I is less than n. Everyone, right? I can make this as n. Now if I run this loop, I should be getting only till 5, the object thing. Yes. And let's say we have this object. How can we iterate over an object? Object पे कैसे iteration चलाते हैं? For in loop, correct? So all we have to do is we have to create a key in object and we can just console.log and we have to print the key plus we have to provide a dash and then plus, and this will be object, or will it be object dot, what will it be? Both? No. It won't be both, right? If I write this thing, it's gonna search for a key with key name, right? So you only have to use square notation in loops, right? So I can write, if I run it, we are getting what we have desired, right? Let me comment this out and let's submit it. Okay, so this is also getting accepted. Clear? How did we do this problem? Everyone? Clear? All right. Okay. So let's try the next one. Line number 25. Okay. Let me check that. So line number 25. For in loop, looping over an object. What's the doubt here? Sharon, what's the doubt? Mm. Okay, so if you have to loop over an object, you use for in loop, right? You define the key in that object and you can just print the key and value like this. I hope that's fine. Okay, let's move to next problem. So this is map characters again, right? What the problem says, you are given a number stored in a variable with name n. You have to map all lowercase characters to a number starting from the value n and incrementing it by 1 at every step. Basically, exactly same thing that we did in last problem. We are basically mapping A to Z, but we will be given a number. In here, it's 30, and we have to increase it by 1 in each iteration. कितनों को लगता है it's doable? Correct, Karan. All we have to do is just change that. ठीक है guys, try it. एक बार आपका लास्ट क्वेश्चन का रिवीजन भी हो जाएगा because that is very important thing that we need to know. ठीक है, try it from scratch. I'll give you 5 entire minutes. ठीक, and if you want the last code for reference, I'll open it. ठीक है, use this for reference, but don't just copy it. समझना है इसको. ठीक, तो giving you guys 5 minutes. Please try it, everyone. Yes, problem 2. You guys have to solve problem 2. Basically this one. Runtime error दिखा रहा है. You should be getting some error. You will have to read it. ठीक है, else try with resetting it to code template once. Correct. I plus ठीक है, correct. Correct Vishal. Correct Abhijit, correct. I plus 30 and then we are increasing the. ठीक है, I mean technically it's correct, but just for this test case, right? सिर्फ 30 के लिए. So you'll have to replace that 30 with n, right? Hmm. Correct. Mulkesh, correct, but keep it dynamic, no? Keep it dynamic. 30 से start करोगे, let's say the number is 40, then you'll have to start from 40, 41, 42, something like that. All right, let's try it together, everyone. चलो साथ में करते हैं. So first, let's create this structure. So we'll be having alphabet string. Let me just copy that. I'm gonna write that entire thing again. Just copy this thing and let's get back in here. ठीक है. Now let's quickly write a for loop. So let I equals to 0, I is less than alphabet dot length and I plus plus. And in this, all we have to do is let m equals to alphabet I and object m equals to. Now in here, बस यहाँ पे all we have to do is we have to do a n, right? So we have to use the number here. ठीक. So this is gonna print 30 30 for each and every time. So how can we fix this? Correct. So either we can do a n plus plus or we can do a n plus I. है ना? So it's gonna start from 0 only. Yes. Yes. So if I go and if I run a for in loop on that object again, I'll be printing console.log key plus object and key inside that. Okay, so let's try to print it. Let's see what we are getting. Okay, so we are getting A with 30 and Z with 55. Let's say we are starting with 42, right? And if we try to run it once again, I should be getting it after 42. Okay, so clear, all we had to do is we had to just change the value that we're using. Any problem in this question, guys? Anyone? Any doubts in this problem? No? Okay. Then what's this? Achha, let's try this one. And I guess you guys can do this one yourself. What's this? Map on numbers. Okay, we'll try one of them. That's it. Okay, this one. The given a number stored in a variable with the name n. Again, same thing. You are also given a string whose length is stored in a variable k, right? And the string is stored in variable with the name str. Basically, we have to do the same thing. Finally, you have to print the sum of all characters present in the string according to the values mapped above. ठीक है. So all we have to do is we have to first create the object just like that we have created previously. There's just one more problem in this sub problem in this problem. That is, we have been given a string. Let's say in this entire thing we have been given a ABC string. So we have to add 30, 31 and 32. That's doable or not? Can you guys do it? Okay, try it. Try it. I'll give you a hint. First, create this structure. Is this doable? Itna creating this A from 30 to Z to 55. Itna कर सकते हैं? Correct. Then inside your key value pair wala loop, right? That for and loop. Run one more loop for your string. Check if the key and strings are matching. If they're matching, add it to sum. Right? Basically, first run a for loop, and in this for loop map the characters, right? Then run a for in loop actually, and इसमें क्या करोगे? You'll be running loop on object, and inside this for in loop you have to run one more loop. That will be your for loop, basic for loop, and this will be to check if the key is present. If it's present, all you have to do is you have to add sum plus equals to object key. उसकी value add करते जाना. Right? This is the hint, guys. Try it once. I'll give you 4-5 minutes. into object string I. This won't work though, Rohit. Acha, many of you guys are writing it in this way. Acha, assume, let's say कि ABC के बजाय we have been given a string which has something like A, O and Z. So guys, your loop is gonna run from A to Z then. ठीक है? We have to fix that. For strength and for okay, this also works. Correct. Karan, Sharon, both correct. Alright, shall we do it together? चलो साथ में करते हैं. तो first we have to map the characters. Let me get that code. ठीक है, तो let me comment this one out. And in here, first thing first, we have to map the character. Right, so we have mapped the character. We won't be needing this for now. Am I gonna get this at least for now, everyone? A to Z. Gonna get that, right? So let me quickly console this object so that you guys know what we're actually doing. Okay, so we're gonna get this at least, right? Now, what we have to do is we have these alphabets and we have their values. We have been told we will be given a string str and it can be ABC or anything. For now, it's ABC and we have to add the values. Okay, I'm seeing many of you guys are doing this. So basically, let I equals to 0, I is less than n and I plus plus. Right, we are creating a variable let sum equals to 0 and we are doing sum plus equals to क्या plus कर रहे हैं basically object and in this once again I'll pick I is less than k some object character I. Okay, basically you guys are trying to run a loop till not n k. Right, so this won't work. Why? Because this loop for now it's ABC, right? So it's in sequence for now till A to C. But there's a possibility that this string can be E, N, and V also. Right? Right? So that can change. So now what you'll have to do is you'll have to run a loop. Let's say we are running loop in this object, right? So in this, if I do a console.log key, I'll be getting each and every key from A to Z, right? And if I comment this off, if I run a for loop inside this, let I equals to 0, I is less than k, and I plus plus, and in this I'm doing if stri, or basically the characters of this string, is equals to key, will do sum plus equals to object key. What I'm trying to do is I'm running a loop on object. So I'm going for each and everything. Then I'm running another loop in each iterations, and in this I'm checking the string. So let's do one thing. Let me get this entire thing and let's do a iteration of it. So let's go get on whiteboard. Let me paste it in here. Paste it in here. And just give me a second. I'll fetch my pen and board. Right. Let's do it with hand. Right. Chalo. So let me create the lines for X and all. Okay. So all right. So first one will be our key, right? So this one will be basically our key, and the next one will be our height. Okay. So in object we have keys. So is it gonna run like this? A, then B, then C, then D, then E. Everyone. The key iteration, the outer loop. Outer loop. इतना समझ आता है? If we are just talking about this for let key in this one. I'm talking about this thing. It's gonna run like this: A, B, C, D till Z, right? Now what I've done is I've written another loop inside this. So for each iteration, we are running one more entire loop. Okay, and in that, what we're doing, let's say I have been given, let's do it in here. So I have been given a string str, which is B, D, and E. Right? We have been given this string. Now we'll be running a loop in that. So basically this entire loop, and will it be going something like this? B at first iteration, D at second, and E at third. Right? For each key. Guys, itna clear hai? I mean, we're just talking about iterations. Right? So outer loop is gonna go for A, B, C, D, E, and inner loop in each iteration for A, it's gonna be B, D, E. For B again, it's gonna be B, D, E. For C again. Right? So can I not do this if stri, basically I'm picking this one thing and I'm checking if it's equals to key, right? So this thing matches in second case. So I'm gonna pick this B's value. If it's 30, then this should be 31, and I'm adding it to sum, right? So 0 plus, basically I'm doing 31, right? Right? Then again, it's gonna run for C. Do we have any C character in this? Is this condition gonna be true for C? No. Then we'll be entering D. Will it be true for D? Will it be true for D? Yes, because of this, right? So at D, it has basically stored 31, 32, and 33. So we'll be adding 33 in this 31. Right? This 31 mein 33 will be adding. Then we are going to run this entire thing for E. Do we have a E in it? Yes, we have. Then we'll be adding again a 34 in it. Right? So basically we are nesting the loop. It's more dynamic. It's much, much more dynamic. Right? So getting ki how this loop is running. Right? Now let's see if we do a console.log sum in it. Abhi dekho, what are we going to get? So we are getting an error actually. K is not defined. Oh, that's capital. Capital, right? Case sensitive. Let me run it. We are getting 93, right? So that is the desired output, right? Let's say I'm picking K, I'm picking U, and I'm picking Z. What should be the answer? In here, agar मैं इसको थोड़ा customize कर दूं, I'm picking, what was I picking? I'm picking K, U, and Z. So basically K, U, and Z. इधर से देख के बताओ, what should I be getting? For K, I have 40, then U, which comes out to be 90, and then 55, so 145, I guess. Right? So if I run this loop, I should be getting 145. Clear? Understood everyone? कैसे हुआ this entire thing? Sir, if I change the value of 3, which this one? Okay, so for that we'll have to understand what's basically going in here. So in first line, we are passing n, right? What's that n? N is the number, right? So it can be 30, it can be 40, it can be 50. Then we are passing k. So basically k is nothing but your the size of the string, right? So let's say I'm doing, rather than KUZ, I'm trying to add KUZ and A, right? So I have a A also in this string. So what should be the final answer? Basically 145 plus 30, 175. Now if I run it, you'll see I'm encountering an error, right? It's still printing 145, right? So we have to increase the length also. So this will be 4, right? It's basically strings length. So if I now run it, I should be getting 175. All right, understood? Everyone clear? I'll give you a basic intro of function today because we have to cover function in next lecture. Okay, so we'll be learning how this thing actually works, this magic thing, right? Okay. So do you guys want me to help you with these two questions, or you can do it? I mean, we have time, so I can help you, but if you want. Last question. Okay. Okay. So I'll cover that. That's fine. We'll try. Okay. So let's take a 4 minutes break and we'll get back. We'll continue after that. Right. So guys, we'll meet back at 9:05. Everyone back? Attendance, please. Okay, so we were talking about this problem, basically map number. You have been given a number stored in a variable with name n. You are given another number stored in a variable with the name n. You have to map all number in the range of 1 to n, including the values. And I mean, it's way more easier than previous questions, isn't it? Right. So basically, you'll have to map from 1 till 5 and then after 10. ठीक. And no. For loop नहीं use करना है. You have to use object for it, right? Object पढ़ लिया हमने. This is for your object practice. Can we do this by object, guys? Object के साथ, everyone. Yes, right? It's easy. So all we have to do is we have to create an empty object, right? And we have to go for 1 till 5, right? So let's run a for loop. We have to go for 1 till 5. So we'll start with 1 only. And then I should be less than or equals to n. क्या होगा? Should it be less than n or less than or equals to n? Less than or equals to, right? Because we're starting from 1 only. We'll do a less than or equals to n. I'll do a I plus plus and I'll start putting everything in object. So I'll do a object I and I can go for a k plus plus. Yes. Yes. What do you guys think? So basically अभी क्या कर रहे हैं? We are going from 1 till n. So I'll be putting 1 till 5 key and I'm taking k also at the same time. Right? Let me show you what we are getting. Console.log obj. If I go and show you guys, I'm basically getting everything at one go. Right? Clear है इतना? At least this part clear, everyone? No? Now the another part is way more easier. All we have to do is we have to write a key, an object, and in this we have to write just the console statement. So basically key plus our dash, not underscore, dash, and plus object. That's all. That's all, right? We know it's going to be correct. We are just going to submit it. Okay? That was way more easier than previous problems. Okay, last one. Let's get it done only. So in this, we have been given a number stored in a variable with name n. You have to map the following symbols starting from n. The mapping should be difference between the values of two characters is 2. So if 10 is given, we'll start with this. We'll map it with 10, then plus 2, then 14. It's nothing but this thing. Rather than your, what were we doing? n plus plus na, uski bajay all you have to do is you have to do n plus 2. That's all. That's all. Can you guys give it a try? I mean, it's easy. I can do it, but I only wanted you guys to do it. Give it a try, guys. Take 5 minutes. It also start with 22. Yes, to make it dynamic, no, we have to write codes in dynamic way so that any number can work. Right? 22 ho, chahe 13 ho, anything. Try it once, then I'll help you guys. Then what you're doing is I equals to I plus 2, and then you're using it in symbol 2, right? So we'll be skipping one symbol also, right? तो अगर exclamation print किया then you're not gonna go for at the rate, you'll go for hash directly, है ना? Correct, Rahul. Rohit, correct. N plus 2. N plus 2, Mulkesh, partially correct है, but क्या होगा ना, you will start with n plus 2 only, है ना? You have to start with 10. आप start कर दोगे 12 के साथ. We have to deal with that also. ठीक है, let's do it together. Let's do it together. Right. So in here, let's create a string with all these characters. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 till 8. Right? That's fine. Then let's create an empty object, and in this, let's run a loop. So let I equals to 0, I should be less than str of len, and I plus plus. Right, basic stuff. We'll do let s equals to str I, basically these each and every characters, and we'll start mapping it. Object may we'll put s for each character, and we'll put n that we are getting. Once we have done this, all we have to do is we have to do a n plus 2, so that in next iteration, for now if it's 10, in next iteration it should be 12. If it's 12, then in next iteration it should be 14. Right? So if I do a console.log obj of it, and if I do a run code on it, we'll be getting wait, it's not updating. Check s, and we are n plus or equals to, right? पिछले वाली values भी we have to add, right? पिछली वाली values, or else it's gonna be n plus 2 each and every time. ठीक है, so now it's getting updated. Clear? And for the solution, it's again easy stuff. We have to do for let key in object and just write the console statement. So console and your key plus and object key, right? And this should give us whatever result that we are desiring, right? So be it 20, be it 22, that's also fine, right? Be it 76, anything, it can work. Clear? This question, everyone, clear? So any doubts in this contest anymore? Right? Basically, many of you guys have done it, but we were doing it wrong way. I mean, not exactly wrong way if you're getting the solution, but Jessa, we were trying to intend that you guys were going to use it. This is how you should have been using it. Clear? Any doubts in here till now? Please tell me. Fifth question, do you have any doubt in that? Your line 8, this one, which is storing this, right? So rather than that, I can just go with stri. All right. These are just the things that we are iterating over. So this can be this in first iteration, this in second iteration, this in third iteration, and this in fourth iteration. I pressed shift at wrong time. Clear? So that's it. I'm just storing it in a variable so that it does not looks this messy. Right? I'm just doing it in sort of a little messed up. Okay. Is my method right or wrong? Let me see. Where is your submission? Var symbol I is less than 16. Why I is less than 16? Make it dynamic. Make it dynamic. Then it's technically correct, but let's say the question was giving you str by themselves, right? So now if I reduce the size of this string, my code is still gonna work, but will yours work? No, right? So try to keep it dynamic. Okay, no doubts. Shall we move forward? Actually, we don't have much planned, but yeah, I'll show you one more thing. Okay, so by now we know how we are using the object, but let's see when do we need to use objects, right? We are basically learning everything from front end, right? Let me show you guys. So basically in JS, we have something that is called JSON. Ever heard about it? JSON. Suna? Right? So it's basically JavaScript object notation. Tick. So this is it. The JSON format is nothing but something like this. So you're going to have an array and you're going to have objects inside that array. Right? So basically, let's say we have a data which says store info about students. Right? So we're going to store info about students in this fashion. We're going to have name of that student, right? So student 1, and then we're going to have their ID, right? So let's say 1, and I guess phone number. So phone, something like this. And this goes on for each and every student, right? So this can be student 2, and this can be student 1. Right? Why do we need this structure? Remember, if I show you a website, let's say Flipkart again. Okay, in Flipkart, let's say I'm clicking on electronics. So you see we discussed about it when we were talking about loops first, right? We can just create one div and we can run a loop over it and we'll be printing each and everything. Right? Okay. Now, hypothetically, if I have a loop, right? If I have a for loop, and inside this, let's say I have created a div structure. Again, hypothetically, we're not doing anything in here, right? I have an image, and in this image, I have written a SRC. Okay. Now, let's say I'm providing a link in it. I'm running a for loop, and this is running 10 times. So will I be printing exact same images 10 times, everyone? will be creating 10 different divs, but those divs are gonna have exact same image each and every 10 times. Right? Is that the case for Flipkart? No, right? Each div is getting a specific object for it, right? Something like this. And that specific object is actually holding the data about it, right? It's going to hold image, it's going to hold your heading, it's going to hold your paragraph, it's going to hold its price. So it will be looking like something like this, right? So name, let's say smartphone, smartphone, and we'll have your price, something like this. Okay, so each and every object is gonna have their own personal object, right? And we're gonna store all that thing inside an iteratable array. Okay, so this format is basically called your JSON format. This is used for storing large number of data, right? So do you guys know about API? API समझते हो? API is basically your stuff that you have stored in database, right? So let me quickly give you in थोड़ा सा info समझाता हूँ. Let's say let's create a box, right? So this box is for front end, right? And this box is for your back end, right? So now front end is gonna need data from back end, right? Yahan se it should need the data so that it can show it on page, right? What have I clicked? These data. So these data is shared by something that is called API, right? And this API usually has the format of JSON, right? So API is nothing but your databases, right? Databases. Okay. So basically we are getting the data from database in this JSON format, and that JSON format is your objects, right? Arrays of objects. That's why we needed to learn objects so that we can use it later. Okay. So let me show you a fake API. Let's see if I remember. This HTTPS and fake store API products. Okay, let me show you. This is a fake API and we're getting data about products in that, right? So we have an array, and inside that we have many small objects, right? And each object is there to specify data about a particular stuff, right? So let's say कि हमारे पास ये first object है. So we have the title of that first object, we have the price of the first object, we have the description of that first object, category, what image do we want, and nested object basically it has ratings, right? So this is basically your JSON structure, and this is what we'll have to deal with once we are gonna integrate our HTML and JavaScript to it. Okay, so now is the object making sense? Ki why do we need to learn object at the first place? सीखना ही क्यों था? In next few weeks, more or less 2 weeks, we'll be doing this. Okay, so let's see. Let me get these two data, right? And let's try to do this, right? We don't have any much better thing to do. So let's try to use this and let's see. So let data equals to that array that we covered. Check. So is this visible everyone? Make it a bit smaller. Abhi visible hai? Right? So let's say we have to go through the data, right? We have to go through the data element and we have to print name of each and everything, name and price. Can we do that? All we have to do is we have to run a for loop. Let I equals to 0, I is less than data dot length. So we're gonna run data dot length I plus plus. Inside this, how will I access each object? How can I access each object? Just the object. Can I do a data I? If I do a console.log, console.log data I. Will I be printing each specific objects? This object, then this object, right? Right, let me show you. If I do a node object in it, first we are printing the first object, then we are printing the second object. Clear? So now, given that we are inside object, let obj equals to data I. Now let's say I have to print the title of both the objects. How can I do that? Sirf title print karni. Only title. Correct? Correct. All we have to do is we have to do console.log obj dot title, right? Because obj may I have stored data I, right? So let's see. If I go and if I quickly clear this node object in it, I'm just printing the titles, right? Let's say I have to print price also. So I'll do just obj dot price and we'll be getting price. Okay, to see how easy it is to access the data, right? Now later क्या करना है हमें? All we have to do is we have to just place these things instead of src and all. ठीक है, तो बात की बात बाद में. But for now, is it clear कि how we are gonna deal with objects later? Rather array of objects. Clear, right? So quickly tell me, how can I access this count? How can I print count for both the objects? Object equals to data I. So in that case, is it accessing index in object? No. So guys, I do these things, no? Just create this variable to don't mess the like decorum, right? So data I से क्या कर रहा हूँ? I'm just accessing the array and उसका first index or second index or third index. So for at the 0th index I have this and the first index I have this. So I'm just doing is I'm just storing it inside a variable in object variable. Clear? And then after that you can access the object. So you can do object.title, you can do object.price. If we weren't doing this, we had to do data I, right? We have to write data I again. तो थोड़ा बड़ा सा काम लगता है मेरे को. So I make it as a variable so that it's easy to use. Fine. All right. ठीक है. So how do we print count? Correct. So all we have to do is we have to access the object, we have to access the rating key, and we have to access the count in it. Right. So now if I do a node object in it, obj, I have commented it out. Let me uncomment it. And here node object, I'm getting the count also. Understood? So I've just shown you guys how we are going to use this all stuff. Clear? So guys, that was pretty much your objects. Object will be taught in next lecture also, but then we have to talk about functions also, right? I'll give you guys a brief intro about functions today. Okay? All right. So what do we mean by functions? We create a separate file for that, and let's write functions.js. Right? Function in plain English, Hindi, anything. What do we mean by functions? Function, guys. Just meaning, not in coding way, anyway. Event, repetition, group of tasks. Okay, all nice words. So basically, something that can be programmed, right? So if I have functioned a fan to rotate, it should rotate, right? Once I switch it on, it should rotate. Yes, can I say that? If I have functioned a fan to run, if I'm pressing a key, तो जब मैं key press कर रहा हूँ, it should rotate. Yes, just like that in programming, let's say कि I have written a block of code, right? Let's say in this block of code, I'm doing console.log, hey, I am printing, right? So I've written this block of code, but I don't want to print it right now. अभी नहीं print करना है. I want to print it when I'm going through a condition. So do we have anything for now that can do that? Let's say I am telling you, correct. Can I condition this statement? Let's say if I have two variables, let A equals to 10 and let B equals to 20, and I will be printing this thing only when B is greater than A. Do we have learned something that can give this thing? If else, basically conditional statements, right? If I write if B is greater than A, I can just take entire thing and I can paste it in, right? Or I can write else console.log. Nope. Okay. So if I do a node functions on it, I am getting I am printing, right? So this is basically conditional statement. But what if I told you guys that we have power in programming, we can call something without any condition, right? So if I say if I'm to print something, if I have to print again, print this, and I want to print it at any moment, कोई condition नहीं होनी चाहिए at any moment. How awesome will that be? समझ आ रहा है what I'm trying to ask or basically present? Okay. Let's say I have to print. I have to print this thing, right? And I want to. I don't want to write if else condition. I want to print it anywhere I want. Right. So basically, at that point, we'll be creating functions for that. Right. So functions का syntax क्या होता है? We basically write a keyword that is called function only. Then we write the name of the function, right? So let's say कि I'm naming it addition. Okay. So I'll be naming this function and then this and then this. So this is basically your syntax for function. You write a keyword that is called function. You give that function a name, just like variables, right? Variables. जैसे कि variable में we used to give name. Then you will pass parenthesis and this curly brackets. ठीक है, तो syntax clear है everyone? How do we write a function? ठीक. Now let's say inside this function if I'm written console.log hello, ठीक है, and if I've written console.log printing. So if I run this file, should I be printing these two things, everyone? Because we have written a console statement. Yes? Yes, no, anything, guys? Come on. So if I run it, we're not printing anything. We're not printing anything. Why? Because we have created a block for it. Okay. And if we want to print this, we'll have to call this program to print it. हमें इसको एक instruction देना पड़ेगा that please print it. And that instruction is given by writing the name function's name and then writing parentheses after it, right? So once you have written function's name, when you're adding this parenthesis, this thing is called calling the function. So basically we're calling this function to print whatever inside it, right? So if I write a function, we'll be printing. Clear? Understood okay, how we can write a function. Now inside this function, basically we're creating a scope, right? So we can write anything inside this. I can write if 20 is greater than 10, console.log 20 greater than 10. Okay. I can write multiple if statements. Anything can go inside this, right? So I can write console.log 1, 2, 3. Okay. So will I be printing this function if I run this code? Right? Yes, it's just like variable. You can name it anything, right? So I can name it Ritesh and I can call it. Okay. If I run it, should I be printing it? No. Why? Are we calling the function? Name change ho gaya, right? So we should be calling it. So now it should be print. If I run it, I'm printing this. Okay. So basically, what we now have power to run a block of code at any moment without any condition. Right? You don't have to write if else condition. You can just call it anywhere. What this does is it basically creates a better way of writing code. How? Let's say we have been given two variables, right? And we have to do add, subtract, and multiply them, right? So what I'll do is I'll create separate functions for this. So let's say I've created an add function, and inside this I'll do a console.log a comma b, right? And if I do this thing, what should I be printing? Any guesses? Have I have A and B? A and B, right? Is A a string? Is B a string? String hai kya? Are there any quotes? No, right? Watch what I get. If I run this, I'm getting A is not defined because we have basically not defined these variables. So we'll be defining that variable. Let's say A equals to 10 and let B equals to 20, and we're basically adding them. Okay, let me clear it. Now, if I do a node, what am I gonna print? A B. Will I be printing 30, everyone? Right? If I do enter on it, I'm getting 30. But let's say I wanted this to be dynamic, right? The number can be anything. It can be 100, it can be 200, it can be 300. Yes. So at that moment, when you want to make your function dynamic, we can do one thing. We have this thing, right? This bracket. This thing, we can pass parameters in it. Basically, I'll pass a and I'll pass a b. हम क्या कर रहे हैं? We are passing values in it. So I can pass this thing 10, 10 and 20 in it. Okay. So what's happening in here is I've written a function and I've written a plus b. For now, we have seen if I do a node function in it, we're going to get a not defined and b not defined. Yes. So what I did to fix that, first I have created these variables, but they were not dynamic. To make it dynamic, what I did, I added a and b parameters in it. This thing is called parameters, right? And जिस order में आपने add किया है ना, we can go and add numbers in that order. Watch what happens. If I do node functions on it, I'm still getting 30. Why? Because we're getting a when we're calling that function, right? So a is 10, b is 20. Tell me, what do you guys think if I do this? What am I gonna print? Still 30? Still 30? What if I do this? What am I gonna print? Twenty comma 10 or 10 comma 20? Okay. Okay. So, right. Okay. So we can do this and we'll be getting 20 comma 10. Right. Achha, quickly tell me if I do a b comma a, right? This order you have to keep this in mind. Now what should I get? Right? What's b? B kya hai? It's 20. This order may we have passed the arguments उसी ऑर्डर में विल बी गेटिंग पैरामीटर्स. अच्छा, क्विकली द नेमिंग कन्वेंशंस गाइस. दिस थिंग जो इस ब्रैकेट में पास होता है इनसाइड द फंक्शन, दिस थिंग इज कॉल्ड पैरामीटर्स, राइट? एंड व्हेन वी आर कॉलिंग द फंक्शन एंड उसमें जो पास करते हैं दैट्स कॉल्ड आर्ग्यूमेंट्स. ठीक है, तो वी आर गोना प्रिंट 10 and 20. So if I do a note in that, I'll be printing 10 and 20, right? So now basically I'm writing a function which is gonna print something whenever we are passing into it. So let's say I'm passing 100 comma 200. If I do a node in it, now we're gonna run this function twice. पहली बार जब हम कॉल करेंगे we are passing 20 and 10 inside this, so we should be printing 30. And the second time we are passing it, we are printing 100 and 200. So what should we print? 300. Correct. If I run this, I'm getting 10, 20 and 200 and basically we have just comma, right? Let me make it as plus. Clear this thing? Clear how we create a function and how we call that function. So do one thing, create a function again a and b and subtract a and b in it, right? I'll remove this so that you guys will create it yourself. मैं syntax लिख देता हूँ so that you don't get confused. Name. Just follow this syntax, everyone. Correct. Correct. All we have to do is, most of you guys are correct. All we have to do is we have to create a function. We have to give it a name. This name can be anything. Is that clear, everyone? Sabko clear hai? This name can be anything. I can write a sub. Now I have to pass parameters. So let's say I've passed two things, a and b, and inside this, I'm doing a console.log a minus b. Now all I have to do is I have to call this function to print it. I'll write sub and I'll write a, that is, let's say something 7 and b 4. Okay, so what should I be printing? 3. Correct. If I do a node function in it, I should be printing 3. Yes. Just give me a second. ठीक है, तो let me take you back to your OJ. And in your OJ, you get something like this function. है ना? So now you're getting an idea कि पीछे क्या हुआ होगा. Let me copy this. Let me copy this. Let me paste it in our VS Code. And in VS Code, we have written a function map symbols and in. Let's say inside this, I have to run a loop for where I equals to 0 and I is less than n, I plus plus console.log I. ठीक है, और n print करते हैं, right? So if you have to run this function, what you have to do? You have to call it with the values, right? So I'll call this function with map symbols और उसके अंदर I'll pass this n, right? So it can be 5. It can be 5, right? Now, should I be printing console.log n 5 times because I'm running this function? Yes. If I do a node function in it, I'll be getting 5 times. ठीक है? Now, do you guys remember that we have multiple test cases in OJ, right? Let me show you. So let's say if I'm submitting it, right? So in here we have these multiple test cases. So it's nothing but something like this. Let array equals to 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? Let's say we have 5 different test cases. आपको क्या करना है? All we are doing is we are running a for loop in them. So let's say let I equals to 0, I is less than array dot length, I plus plus, and in this, if I put this function inside this, how many times will I be calling this function? Guys, 5 times, right? And if I want to make it dynamic, all I have to do is I have to write array I, right? So in each iteration, I'll be passing different values in this n. In first iteration, I'll be passing 0. In second iteration, I'll be passing 1, 2 till 4, right? So let me write a console.log function ends here and let's print it, right? Let me clear it. Node functions. Okay. The first time we're getting just 1, 2, 3. Okay. So getting an idea ki how OJ actually works in hindsight. Okay. So that's actually how the functions work. Well, for now, let's leave it here only. But basics clear hai functions ke, right? Let's do a quick recap. Let's say we have 3 numbers A, B, and C, and I have to return multiple of all those 3, right? We basically have to do A into B into C. How can I do that? Create a function for that, guys, quickly. No, Karan. I'm not telling you guys to fix it for now. वो बाद में बताऊंगा. अभी I'm just introducing you to function. Correct. Correct. All of you are correct. Easy, right? All we have to do is we have to write a function. Usko name dena hai. Let's give it a name multiply. In this, we'll be passing 3 parameters A, B, and C, and we'll just print it. So console.log A into B into C. Now, to make it print, we have to pass the values. So I'll call the function with 10, 2, and 1. Right? So we should be printing 20 now. Add one more functions in it, we are getting the desired result. Clear, guys? Any doubts in functions? Just the part we have covered, basics. Okay. This thing I just went to show you how the things all work, right? But that's fine. Any doubts in today's lecture? We have covered objects. Most part of the object is covered. Then a few things are left. We'll take it in next lecture. And we have seen how we are going to use the objects for our things. And then we have learned how we create functions. Okay, so with that, we can